हवामहे कविं कवीनामुपमस्यवस्तमम् ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणस्पत आनशृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् ॐ श्रीमहागणाधिपतये नमः। ॐ वृषभं दर्शनीनां विश्वरूपमदाभ्यं बृहस्पतिं वरेण्यम् ॐ तद्विष्णोः परमं पदं सदा पश्यन्ति सूरयः दिवीव चक्षुराततम् ॐ ऐं ह्रीं श्रीं क्लीं हसौं जगत्प्रसूत्यै नमः। ॐ श्रीं ह्रीं मेधा दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। Everybody say after me, Hare Rama Krishna 3 times. Om Hare Rama Krishna, Om Hare Rama Krishna, Hare Rama Krishna. Okay. You have a few questions? Go ahead. Can you speak louder so that...
In Narayana, there is an option link where you click in the dialog box.
Yeah?
In that, there is something called Rashi Dasha, an option.
What? This option?
Yeah.
Okay.
There in that, what is it? Sometimes you get a K2 exception.
Oh, this one?
No, dialog, yeah, in the top row.
Okay. I didn't talk about this exception thing.
When Rahu Ketu are in the 7th.
Not Rahu Ketu. See, I told you that forget the Antardasha. Just look at Dasha itself. See, start Dasha. Let us say you want to start from Gemini. See, automatically it says Ketu exception. Can you see this here?
Yeah.
So Ketu must be in Gemini in D24. Let me check that. Yeah, Ketu is there. See I told you Saturn exception. See, the rule is if you want the Narayan Dasha, let's say of Rashi chart, we take the Lagna and the 7th house, we find the stronger of those, and then we start from that, right? And then we said that if the sign is a movable sign, we go normally, zodiacally. If it is fixed sign, we go every 6, that is Shiva's progression. If it is dual, we use Vishnu's progression. We do the trine, 1, 5, 9, then 10, 2, 6, and so on, right? So all these progressions I talked about. But there are exceptions. If the sign where you are starting the dashas from has Shani or Ketu, there are exceptions. If it has Shani, how come it stopped? This is out of that. So if the sign has Shani, the rule is Shani likes Brahma's progression. He does not like Vishnu or Shiva's progression. So even if the sign is dual, even if the sign is fixed, you just imagine as if the sign was a mobile sign, and then also go forward. Shani never likes going backward. So even if it is, whether it is odd-footed or even-footed, whether the ninth from it is odd-footed or even-footed. If you remember earlier, I told you that whether you go forward or backward depends on whether the ninth from the sign, the ninth from Lagna is odd-footed or even-footed, right? So if Shani is there in the Lagna or in the sign where you are starting the dashas, either the Lagna or 7th house, the stronger sign, if it has Shani, Saturn, then you always go forward and you always go 1, 2, 3, 4 like that. Shani likes the normal, straightforward progression. He likes Brahma's progression. He doesn't like jumps or any crazy things. He likes to take it slow. Yeah, he is Manda. He likes Mandagati. He likes to do things straightforward way, in a simple and straightforward way. So that is Shani's exception. And Ketu's exception is, if Ketu is in the sign where you are starting the dashas from, then the rule is, Ketu doesn't mind Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu's progression, but he wants to do it reverse. He wants to do it in the opposite way. He wants to go against the stream. So, if Ketu is there, you go in the reverse. And if both Shani and Ketu are there, you have to see who is stronger, and then use the corresponding exception. So, these two exceptions were mentioned by Jaimini. So, we use those exceptions. And what the software is saying here is, let us see that in the D24 Narayan Dasha, or let's take even Rashi Narayan Dasha. If I say the Rashi Narayan Dasha, if it is Taurus, then there are no exceptions. But suppose I want to start from Gemini for some reason. I want to start the Dashas from Gemini. Then the software automatically tells you that it's going to apply Saturn exception, because software knows that if you start the Dashas from Gemini in this case, Saturn exception must be used because Saturn is in Gemini. So software does it. But I put this option because scholars can experiment. If you want to ignore the Saturn exception, then you just do no exception. Or if it's in a particular case, let's say Saturn and Ketu are together, and the software for some reason judges that Saturn is stronger, but you have a hunch that actually Ketu is stronger in that case. The thumb rules that the software goes by are wrong, and you want to experiment whether the other way would give you better results. So in that case, you can change that exception status, and then you can experiment with it. So that's why all these options are given. The bottom line is, if you are a researcher who wants to experiment, you can explore all these options. If you are not one, if you just want to use Narayan Dasha as I taught you, assuming that it works perfectly always, all you have to ever change is this one. Change the divisional chart, Rashi or D24 or D10 or Navamsha, and then find the Narayan Dasha, and then you will be all set. So you shouldn't have to touch anything else here. But this gives you complete flexibility to change various calculations in case you want to experiment. Okay? Anybody else has any other questions?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, go ahead.
Regarding suppose we are taking the second part of the rule, three-part rule.
Yeah.
First we see the house itself, second lord.
Yeah.
And then third is aspect.
Right, but the order could be.
The order could be Victoria.
Yeah. Okay.
But now coming to the lord.
Yeah.
It's a planet.
Yeah.
So if there is an exchange.
Yeah.
Between say the planet, suppose Jupiter is in Leo,
Yeah.
and Sun is in Pisces, and Jupiter is being your lord of that house which you are looking at.
Yeah.
And that's a three-part rule.
Yeah.
So do we see the exchange results, or we just don't consider that?
We don't consider the exchange as far as when you want to see whether the planet is in Sishodaya Rasi or Sishodaya Rasi, to see when it will give its results, you completely forget about the Parivartana. You just see where the planet is, and then based on it you decide. And when the results are to be seen, again those results will be of that planet, not the other planet with whom he has a Parivartana. So you completely ignore the Parivartana, but when it comes to the part where the planet will give the results of its yoga, the Parivartana is considered as a yoga in that case. It could be a Duryoga. If you say Parivartana between 8th and 10th Lord, that Parivartana could give tension in career. Or if you say Parivartana between, let's say, 5th and 10th Lords, it could give good fame in career, good name in the career. So depending on whether it's a bad yoga or a good yoga, the corresponding result will be obtained when the results of the yogas are given, which will be the third quarter, which is a benefic planet, or the second quarter, which is a malefic planet. Okay? Yeah, when you are judging Narayan Dasha and when you are applying the three-parts rule, you don't have to worry about the Parivartana, except when you are finally giving the results of the yoga of the planet. So let's say Jupiter and Sun have a Parivartana. Let's say it is Aries Lagna. Yeah. Okay.
That's why I asked.
Okay.
And that's what Kiran also said that Parivartana we should consider as a yoga.
It is a yoga. It is a yoga. So when the planets, in the last one-third, when you divide it into 4 quarters, there is 1 quarter when the results of yoga are given. So then you will see that particular yoga triggered. Okay? You have another question?
Yeah, in case of Rahu and Ketu,
Go ahead.
we should consider always Rahu is stronger, even though Rahu is Pitrakaraka or something else. So,
See, the thing is, as far as Karakatva is concerned, Ketu does not figure there. So you can't use that as a factor.
Okay.
Basically, both are at the same longitude.
Right.
Rahu and Ketu are exactly at the same longitude. So that is not a deciding factor. And you can see other strengths like how many planets they are with, or whether they are exalted. But the thing is, again, both of them will be exalted or debilitated together. But again, if you are looking in some divisional charts, then they are together. They are not in opposite signs. So it is possible that, let's say Rahu and Ketu are in Virgo. Who is stronger? Rahu. Why? It is Mola Trikona. Virgo is Rahu's Mola Trikona. So Rahu is stronger. Suppose Rahu and Ketu were together in Pisces. Who is stronger there? Ketu, because it is Ketu's Mola Trikona. Like that, there can be times when Rahu is stronger. There can be times when Ketu is stronger. This is in the case of divisional charts. If you are looking at Rashi chart, if Rahu is strong, Ketu is strong. If Ketu is strong, Rahu is strong. If one of them is weak, the other one is weak. So they are always using the exaltation, debilitation, Mola Trikona, Om sign, etc. as considerations, never fixes the problem. So you can look at how many planets they are with. Let's say Rahu is with one planet and Ketu is with 3 planets, then definitely Ketu will be stronger. So you can use such criteria, and if you are not really sure, if there is no convincing reason either way, then go with Rahu. Actually Rahu dominates more, so inherently he is stronger. So if there are no other factors strengthening Ketu, then Rahu will dominate.
So one of the examples I was looking like Rahu was Pisces and Ketu was Virgo.
Okay. Were they alone?
Yeah, alone. And then I wanted to get to the options and go to that dasha.
Yeah.
Then there was a Ketu exception was there. I don't know whether it was there or not.
Okay.
Okay. So that time I wanted to see which one to take.
I see. So that's why you are asking about the Ketu exception.
Yeah.
So that exception is a totally different thing. And as far as the strengths are concerned, if you are not sure, take Rahu. But the bottom line is Rahu and Ketu are anyway very similar. So, but again, they have their own agendas in a particular chart based on the houses that they own and occupy. But when it comes to houses aspected, the sign containing Rahu is most of the times aspected by Ketu, and the sign containing Ketu is aspected by Rahu. And they are basically like one body. They are not two bodies. Rahu and Ketu are actually one body. So even if you make a mistake, it will not be disastrous. But in general, try to look at how many planets they are with and whether somebody is exalted or in Mola Trikona, and then you will get a good sense. If you get confused between Jupiter and Rahu, it is bad. But if you get confused between Rahu and Ketu, it's not that bad. Okay. Any other question? Kiran had a question. Yes. Okay. What's that? For using Sahamas in the judgment of Narayan Dasha? There is no guidance. You are on your own. I haven't experimented the use of Sahamas. I use them in the annual charts, in the Siddhi Pravesh charts, Tajaka charts. I use them in a few other charts, but I use them in that kind of snapshot charts. And I use them with the dashas, the normal dashas. But in Narayan Dasha, I haven't experimented with Sahamas. And if you are finding any interesting results, study more charts, because we can't make principles based on 2 or 3 charts. If you find something working in 2 or 3 charts, try 10 more charts. If you are happy, try 50 charts. 50 should be at least the minimum number of charts that you try. 50 or 60 charts. Try in those many charts. And if you think that you have a consistently working principle, write a nice article and send it to Jyotish Digest. Sanjay will be happy to receive that article. Okay? So I want to encourage research into that, but I don't really have any insight into that. I haven't used Sama. So what did you find anyway? What? So you don't have any findings on Sama. You are just curious if they can be used. Okay. I'm not really sure. Any other questions? Okay. What we will do is, Sriram is away, he is in New York, and he requested me not to start any new topic.
But that seemed to be a good thing.
But every time he goes, somehow or the other, I end up starting a new topic. And we'll come back to Narayan Dasya. We are not done with Narayan Dasya, we'll do more examples. But because the South Indian, Telugu, Kannada New Year is coming up soon, based on the lunar calendar, some people ask me to talk about some techniques to talk about the fortunes of countries during a year, generally to get a sense of how a particular year will be. So I'll be talking about it's called mundane astrology, talking about countries, talking about communities, talking about groups of people and talking about their fortune. It's called mundane astrology. So we'll do a little bit of mundane astrology. And even if Sriram is just mundane. So talk about it. We'll do a little bit of mundane astrology. The idea here is, when a person is born, if you take the individual chart of the natal chart, the birth chart of an individual person, a particular soul is being trapped in a particular body with a particular mind, and then it has to have a particular existence. And when the body starts its independent existence, that moment is very important in deciding the fortune of that particular existence. But when you are talking about a country or a company, an office, a group of people basically, an organization or an institution, then what is the soul there? What is the body there? What is the mind there? All these things are very tough to define. They are not. Basically, one thing we should recognize is there is a big difference between human beings or other beings and groups of people, like a company or an institute or a country. But the idea is, many scholars have taught for a long time that even for entities which are not people, which are not human beings or other beings, you can make a chart and you can make predictions. For example, when India as a country has existed for a long time, for millennia, but in 1947, on August 15 at midnight, India started a new existence. There was an India before, but on that day, a new existence, a new entity called India started. India started existence as a separate entity, as a different entity than it had ever did. In its existence in the past, it had several forms, but this was a completely new form, with a completely new set of principles. So that is the birth of a new entity. So if you make a chart for that particular moment, and if you imagine that that's a person, then you can use that chart to make predictions about India. And you can use the dasha. A lot of people use the normal Vimshottari dasha in the case of India. But again, it is possible to question that, because Sriram is here. He didn't miss anything of So it is basically you can argue that for human beings, 120 years is the Paramayish in Kali Yuga. What Parashara taught is, for human beings in Kali Yuga, the normal expected longevity, maximum longevity, is 120 years. So we take this Vimshottari Dasha, which is 120 years. Sriram, I started a new topic, but yeah, if I knew you were coming, I wouldn't have done it. You told me you were coming. Okay. So, technically speaking, rationally speaking, if somebody says that, why should 120 years be the Paramayish for India? What if it is 360 years, or 1000 years, or 200 years? In that case, do you still use the normal 120 year Vimshottari Dasha? Because Parashara, when he taught that 120 years is the Paramayish for human beings, he also talked about different Paramayishas for other beings. For horses, for elephants, for donkeys, for crows, there are different Paramayishas. So, if you are using a Dasha for them, you can't use 120 year Vimshottari Dasha. You have to compress it for a different period. Instead of all the 9 Dashas taking 120 years to finish, they have to take 40 years, they have to take 10 years for various beings. So that being the case, for India, why should it be 120 years? Why can't it be something else? Why can't it be higher? So, the basis for taking 120 year Vimshottari Dasha for a country like India or a country like US is actually questionable. But there are astrologers who do that. Of course, I also do it. And many astrologers do it. And we find that we are getting some results, so it is good. But again, I want to tell you that the basis itself is actually questionable. But at the same time, even though that is questionable, the basis of using annual charts is not questionable. So you can find the annual chart, you can find the annual City Pravesha chart, the annual solar return chart, which we haven't talked about in this class so far, but there is something called solar return chart. It's called Tajika system. It is very much like City Pravesha, but it's based completely on the solar calendar. We'll talk about it a little later. But if you know Tithi Pravesha, you don't really need to know that. If you don't know Tithi Pravesha, then it's a good technique to learn and use for making predictions. But bottom line is, you can use these annual charts, annual return charts, to focus on a particular year in the life of a country, and then see important events during the year. And there, all the dashas are compressed to 1 year. So you don't have the issue of should I use 120 years or 200 years, because it doesn't matter. The period is 1 year. You are focusing on a particular year. So, if you want to make predictions about countries like India and US, if you know their birth chart, when they started their new existence, the current existence, based on the current set of principles, you take that chart. Usually this is the independence chart of the country. If the country was not independent for a while, or if the country was independent, but if it was several princely states and came together later, that coming together may be the definition. So, in other words, what I am driving at is, the definition itself is actually controversial. For some countries, how do you define the birth of that country? It's actually questionable. For a country like India, India started its new existence on August 15, 1947 at midnight. So, there isn't a lot of controversy there. Even though a constitution was adopted there, even though some princely states joined India later, that particular moment, a new entity was born. A new existence was born, called the New India. So there is no controversy. And if you try India's chart, and if you look at various annual charts, you will see that things will make sense very nicely. So you are all set with India. But that doesn't work for our countries. If you take Iraq or Iran, or if you take US, the exact time when the country started its existence is questionable. There isn't any clear data. In the case of US, different scholars use different times. There are 10 or 15 totally different charts using totally different dates. Some people take July 4, 1776. Some people take some other date. There are 10 dates. And even on July 4, 1776, the time when the draft was signed, that's not clearly known. There are a lot of theories about it. So there are various times given, ranging in a 10-hour period.
Some people sign later.
Yeah, there are so many factors there actually. So you don't, and if you try various charts, I honestly don't find any US chart given by any scholar giving any satisfactory results at all. In the case of India,
That's the question about that. When we're back to Parama actually, 120 years now. It probably has drifted down. So different yugas is different.
this is for this yuga, 120 years.
Kali Yuga,
For Kali Yuga, for human beings, it is 120 years. For other living beings, there are different paramaishas that were given by Parasara.
but they have changed over time.
They do change. They are different in different yuga. And in the yuga that we are in, it is 120 years. But that is for human beings, not for a company or an organization like the Jagannath Center or a country like USA. Their paramaisha is different.
Have you tried the 1781 date though?
Oh, I tried.
and there's the Soviet chart. Have you heard of the Soviet chart?
I think, I must have, I don't remember all the names now, but there were 10 charts given in, if you go to Astro Database, astrodatabank.com, if you go there, they have 10 different US charts given by various scholars. So I believe I tried everything, but I wasn't happy with anyone. But if you find a particular chart working, give it to me. I can give it a try. But the bottom line is, even if you have a chart that works for US, which I doubt, but even if you have a chart that works for US, there are other countries for which you don't really have a chart. People believe that they have Iraq chart, they have Iran chart. In the case of Iraq, now a new entity started, so maybe you can define it, but again it's questionable. The basis itself is questionable. What is the definition of the birth of Iraq? When was Iraq born? It's very tough to define. So, I'm coming to the main theme. So the thing is, there are some other techniques which do not rely on the birth of a country. Given that the birth of a country is not a well-defined event for several countries, there are other techniques that were given by great scholars in the past. I don't know if Parasara taught these, but definitely great scholars taught these. So there are techniques taught by scholars, taught by astrology authors, which allow you to time events within a particular year or a particular week or a particular fortnight or a particular period without knowing any birth details. And what you do is, we talked about lunar calendar in the past. There are various calendars. There are solar calendars, there are lunar calendars. There are lunar calendars that are based on starting from full moon. There are lunar calendars that start from new moon instead of full moon. So there are various calendars in vogue in India itself. If you take the whole world, there are so many different calendars. And in India itself, there are so many different calendars. You go to different parts of India, they have a totally different New Year. If you go to Kerala or Tamil Nadu, their New Year comes around April 15. Their New Year is based on sun. When sun is in one particular sign, it is 1 month. When sun is in Mesha, it is Mesha Masa, the Aries month. When sun is in Taurus, it is Vrishabha Masa. When sun is in Gemini, it is Mithuna Masa. Like that, you give each month is given the name of the sign occupied by sun during that month. And this is based on the sidereal calendar, not based on the tropical calendar. So from the 15th, roughly from the 15th of every month to the next 15th, we have 1 month. And each month has 30 days. Basically, 1 degree motion of sun is basically 1 day. So,
You take from 15 to 15? Or
not exactly 15. The day when sun changes sign. The Sankranti to Sankranti. From Mesha Sankranti to Vrishva Sankranti is Mesha Masa. From Vrishva Sankranti to Mithuna Sankranti, it is Vrishva Masa, and so on. The period when sun is in a particular sign. But again, if you want to celebrate the new year, suppose sun changed sign, let's say sun went from Pisces into Aries at, let us say, 3 o'clock in the afternoon today. Should you celebrate the new year today or tomorrow? Why?
tomorrow sunrise time.
Because at tomorrow's sunrise time, there is sun will be in the new sign. So one school of thought is look at sunrise time. Look at every day. Look at the sunrise time. See the sign occupied by sun at the sunrise time. Based on it, if he is in Aries, then Aries, that is Aries month. If he is in Taurus, it is Taurus month. So people use sunrise. Some people use noon time. Noon as the definition. If at noon, sun is in a particular sign, because sun is most powerful during noon. So if sun changes from Pisces to Aries before noon on a day, you celebrate the new year on that day. And some people even take sunset. And I'm not 100% sure, but it is possible to take midnight also, because that's the only other before left. So, and there is no particular reason to prefer one way or the other. It's just an arbitrary thing that you can decide either way. So there are various conventions, and noon and sunrise are the most popular conventions. But I have seen sunset also.
Possible if you take the avasthas like Bala Avastha and all that, noon would be more.
Yeah.
We never, even in astrology, we never consider Bala Avastha and Rudra Avastha for any. They are not really effective.
Yeah.
Whereas in mid-afternoon, 12 o'clock,
Yeah.
the sun is more powerful.
But that is not Bala Rudra. That is a different avastha based on the time of the day.
Right.
Sure.
The sun is also in a day.
Okay. You are giving an analogy. You are not exactly.
I'm not,
Yeah.
I'm totally saying that.
Good. Yeah.
So at 12 o'clock is the most powerful, and so that could be considered as a.
Right. Why is sun most powerful at 10 o'clock? So not 10 o'clock, sorry, 12 o'clock. Around the noon time, why is sun most powerful?
So if you write and on the horizon, if you write it, if you do it right.
But astrologically, what does it mean?
10th house.
He's in the 10th house. At the noon time, around noon time, sun is in the 10th house. And he's one of the karakas for that house. He shows he's the king basically. If the king is in the house of throne, the house of the work that you do, the karmasthana is important for any muhurta. And if the natural king of the zodiac, if he is in the house of, that's also called Indrasthana. The 10th house is called Indrasthana. Indra means the king of gods. So that is the karma that you get and the achievements that you have. So if sun is in that house, it's very auspicious. So it is said that some people actually have a belief that if you can't find a good muhurta for starting anything, just do it at the noon time, when sun is in the 10th house. That itself is called Aghin Muhurta. If you find the time when sun is exactly on the 10th house cusp, that's a very powerful muhurta. Let's say sun is at 20 degrees. What is the day today?
27.
Actually, we can just make the chart. Sun is at where is Sun right now? He is in Pisces at 13 degrees 6 minutes. So if you find the time when Lagna goes to 13 degrees 6 minutes in Gemini, which is actually very soon, not at noon, but it's coming earlier. But if you find that time is very auspicious. If you do anything at that time, you have, as far as 10th house is concerned, you have the protection of Sun. So that is the basic idea. But the thing is, it doesn't always work like that. On a particular day, Sun could be the 8th Lord, and he could be in the 10th house. So is it good? Is it good to have the 8th Lord in the 10th house? 8th Lord debilitated in the 10th house. Is it good? I'm talking about, let's say Sun is in Libra and Lagna is Capricorn. So Sun is in the 10th house, but his 8th Lord debilitated in 10th house. It's not really auspicious. So all these thumb rules, they should be taken with a pinch of salt. The fact that the concept, the idea that Sun is strong during the noon, that's in general true, but it's not an absolute truth. There are, like you said, just like the Balavastha, Kumaravastha, we don't go by those avasthas all the time. They are just one of the factors. Similarly, Sun being very strong at noontime is also one of the factors. So, on a particular day, Sun could be stronger during the night, for all you know. So it's very. In other words, this is all very arbitrary. Whether you choose noon or sunrise or sunset, this is very arbitrary. But the bottom line is, that is arbitrary. But at least the day that you are picking for the start of Mesh Masa has something to do with Sun being in Mesha. On the other hand, if you take the modern Western calendar, February has 28 days, March has 31 days, April has 30 days. All these are fixed. And if you take February 7 of 2 years, or let's say you take February 16 of 2 years, Sun may be in one sign. Even the sign occupied by Sun on a given day need not be fixed. On the other hand, if you take the Indian calendar, Indian solar calendar, if you take the first day of Aries month, Sun will be in Aries on that day. Either at what time, that is questionable, but during the day, Sun is going to be in Aries. But if you take the Western calendar, it's not guaranteed. Sun could be at 29 degrees Pisces on a particular day. On the same day in another year, Sun could be at 1 degree in Aries. So it's not really based on exact motion of Sun. Motion of Sun is the basis at a very low level, but after that, lot of totally arbitrary decisions have been made about which months are going to be 31 days, which months are going to be 28 days, 29 days. All that has been decided arbitrarily. In the case of Indian calendar, 1 month may have 31 days, 1 month may have 30 days, and that's not decided arbitrarily. That's decided based on how Sun is moving during that particular year. So now coming back, now we are going into a particular thing. Instead, I want to step back. Stepping back, we have this calendar that is used in Tamil Nadu and Kerala, states of India, which is based on the solar motion. And they celebrate the new year when Sun enters Mesha, which is the first sign of the zodiac. But there are some people who take Capricorn as the most important sign for Kali Yuga. There are these 4 mobile signs, Aries, Cancer, Libra and Capricorn. Out of those, for Kali Yuga, Capricorn is the most important sign. So in Kali Yuga, they say that Sun entering Capricorn is more important than Sun entering Aries or any other mobile sign. So the entry of Sun into Capricorn, that's called Makara Sankranti. Makara Sankranti, at the time of that ingress into Capricorn, you make a chart for the capital of the year capital of the country you are interested in. If you want to make predictions for India during a year, you make a chart at New Delhi, the capital of India, when Sun enters Capricorn. If you follow that new year. If you follow Aries New Year, you make a chart when Sun enters Aries. Okay? So like this, you have various solar calendars. There is another solar calendar, which is not based on signs but based on nakshatra. When Sun enters the constellation of Ardra, you make a chart for the capital of the country you are interested in. That is another new year chart. When Sun enters the constellation Ardra, which is in Gemini, which is in the middle of Gemini, which starts at around 6 degrees 40 minutes in Gemini. That's where Ardra star starts, and it goes for 13 degrees 20 minutes. So when Sun is exactly at 6 degrees 40 minutes Gemini, you make a chart. And that chart is used for weather purposes, meteorological purposes, to see how the rains will be during the year.
There's a lot of information covered on this particular chart in this list.
Okay.
There's about 40 minutes of it.
Okay. Okay. Those who want more information on some of these things can go to lesson 5. Says who says we believe. Okay. So that is another kind of solar calendar. So there are various solar calendars. We just talked about 3 solar calendars right now. Sun entering Aries, Sun entering Capricorn, Sun entering Ardra star. Now let's go to lunar calendars. In the lunar calendar, it's not exactly lunar, it's solely lunar calendar. You take both Sun and Moon and you take the Tithi. So there are, like we talked about earlier, we have Shukla Paksha, we have Krishna Paksha. When Sun and Moon are exactly together, then it's new moon basically. Then Krishna Paksha starts. When Moon was just behind Sun, it is Amavasya. When Moon is exactly conjoined with Sun and Moon is about to take over Sun, overtake Sun and go ahead of him, then Shukla Paksha starts. And then you have Shukla Pratipada, Shukla Dvitiya, Shukla Tritiya, and then you have Paurnima when Moon is exactly 180 degrees. When he is exactly opposite Sun, Paurnima ends. The previous 12 degrees is Paurnima. When Moon is exactly opposite Sun, that is the end of Paurnima, end of full moon. And then when Moon goes ahead, then the Krishna Paksha will start. Moon will start waning then. And then you have Krishna Pratipada, Krishna Dvitiya, Krishna Tritiya and 15 Tithi. So you have 30 Tithis like this, which make up 1 month. And we talked about this earlier. We said that the names of the months are given based on the sign occupied by Sun and Moon when they are conjoined. But there we were talking about the Amanta lunar calendar. There are 2 kinds of lunar calendars. One is called Amanta, one is called Shuklanta. In the Amanta calendar, the month ends with Amavasya. The month ends with the no moon day. And then with the new moon, the new month starts. So with Shukla Pratipada, a new month starts, and then on Amavasya, the new month ends. And when Sun and Moon are conjoined, the new month starts. When Moon goes around and comes back, again the new month starts. So that is called Amanta calendar. That is what Telugu people use. That is what Kannada people use. That is what a lot of people in India use. And the New Year that we are going to celebrate, Telugus and Kannadigas are going to celebrate on April 8th or 9th, right? April 9th. That New Year is basically the Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. Chaitra, it is called Chaitra, the month that starts when Sun and Moon are conjoined in the sign of Pisces, is called Chaitra Masa. Based on the sign, there are different names. If they are conjoined in Aries, that starts Vaishakh Masa. Like that, there are different names for the month. And if you want to use this Chaitra Shukla Pratipada chart, what you have to do is look for the conjunction of Sun and Moon in Pisces and make a chart for that particular time. And then for the next 1 year, the fortune of the country can be known from that chart. But then there are different kinds of Amanta charts. Some people celebrate, I don't know how many of you know, but some people in the Gujarat area, in some areas of India, they celebrate New Year on the Diwali day, on the Deepavali day. But right after Diwali, right after that Amavasya, when the new moon comes again, that is the beginning of the new year. And this new year is basically starting with the conjunction of Sun and Moon in Libra, not Pisces, in Libra, the sign of business, the sign of balance, the sign of business. So, Marwadis also celebrate a community. Yeah, business communities in India celebrate New Year based on this. And the reason is, this is the New Year. As per astrology, this is the New Year that tells you about the financial happenings in the country during the year. If you want to know the financial events in the year in the country, make a chart for the conjunction of Sun and Moon in Libra for the capital of the country. So that is called, what is it called? Kartika Shukla Pratipada chart.
We were expecting something like Amanta, something.
It is still within the Amanta lunar calendar, Amanta Chandramana and with Amanta Chandramana Panchanga. Within that, it is called Kartika Shukla Pratipada chart. And there are some people some parts of Gujarat, some parts of the Kutch of Iran, and some parts of Rajasthan, where they celebrate Ashadha Shukla Pratipada. Pardon me? Not Dasara. Ashadha is basically the time when June time frame, June July time frame, the time when rains come. So when does Ashadha Masa start? No, I'm talking about sign. Which sign? Which sun and moon? Gemini. When sun and moon conjoin in the sign of Gemini, then that conjunction will start a new month called Ashadha, and some people take that conjunction to be the beginning of a new year also. So with Ashadha Shukla Pratipada, a new year starts. And this year, there aren't any guidance. There isn't any guidance in the classics, but based on my experience, this particular calendar is important for weather patterns. Any weather extremities during the year, any losses because of lot of rain or hurricanes or tsunamis or earthquakes, etc. So for yes.
So next time when you're going to speak on channel for the coming year, do you make 4 calendars? There's one in Ashadha and all these 4 Gemini.
Ideally, you are supposed to take various calendars and get the corresponding result from each New Year chart. There are so many New Year charts. You get political things from one chart. You get general mass, how the public feelings will be, public emotions will be from one chart. You will see all the political intrigue from one chart. You see financial things from one chart. You see weather from one chart, and you mix them all together. That is ideally what is done. But what people do these days is they just take one chart, whichever they like out of these. If they are from Rajasthan, they may take Ashadha Shukla Pratipada. If they are from Tamil Nadu, they will take the solar New Year based on April 15, based on Aries. So based on wherever they are from, if they are from Orissa, like Sanjayji, they will take the full moon chart, the Vaishakha Purnima chart. So they take the chart that is popular in that part of India, and then they try to see everything from that. That is the common practice. But to be scientific and also to use the tradition more properly, what you should do is focus on a particular chart for a particular kind of event instead of trying to see everything in everything. Then you will get better results. So let me finish the list of calendars that we have, and then we'll go into one.
Between Kartika Shukla for the financial, but whether it is Ashadha, is there a relation between the month and this specific aspect, like financial weather?
Like the Kartika Shukla Pratipada chart starts when sun and moon are together in Libra, like I said. And Libra is the sign of business. It's the 7th house of the natural zodiac. And 7th house is the house of business. And also, what is the symbol of Libra? Balance. And who has a balance? There are two entities that have a balance in their hands. What are those? If you see the movie Sankranti, Telugu movie Sankranti, I happened to see unfortunately yesterday, there is a dialogue there. 2 people have a balance with them. The Nyaya Devata, the goddess of justice, and the second one is businessman. So they should uphold justice. There is some dialogue in that movie. But the bottom line is, the balance. Business people hold a balance. So the symbol is also very informative. And moreover, this is the 7th sign of the zodiac. So Libra is in general thought to be an important sign for business. And because the conjunction of sun and moon, luminary, in that sign starts this month is this kind of calendar is important for financial matters. So there are clues everywhere. If only we read those clues, there are so many clues, not just one clue, so many clues. And similarly for natural calamities and natural matters, third house is said to be the most important house. And the third sign of the natural zodiac is Gemini. That is why many charts relating to weather are seen from Gemini. For example, Ashadha Shukla Pratipada chart, the chart that I said you can use as per the lunar calendar, that is sun and moon conjunction in Gemini. And the other chart that I mentioned based on solar calendar, do you remember which chart I said for meteorological purposes? The Ardra Pravesh Chakra. Sun entering the constellation of Ardra. That chart is seen for meteorological purposes. And again, Ardra is in which sign? Gemini. So Gemini is the important sign when you are talking about natural phenomena. And Libra is the important sign when you are talking about business. So you could take Capricorn also. If you take Capricorn, Normally, Telugu people and Kannadigas take Pisces, the sign of the Mahasi, to start the new year. But Chinese people, they have the Chinese calendar. They also use a lunar calendar. It is very similar to ours, the Indian calendar. The only difference being their new year comes when sun and moon are conjoined in Capricorn. Again, pardon me? Makara, yes. Like I said earlier, for even in the solar calendar, some people take sun's entry into Aries as New Year, but some people take sun's entry into Capricorn as the New Year, because Capricorn is the sign of Kali Yuga. So even in the lunar calendar, it is possible to take Capricorn as a sign. Then you are focusing more on Kali Yuga related events.
But previous calendar comes, the New Year starts approximately 10 to 15 days after our Makara Sankranti.
Yeah.
It's not on Makara Sankranti.
It's not on Makara Sankranti. It is between... No. It is between January 15 and February 15 always. Yeah. So it is basically during sun's after sun's entry into Capricorn and while sun is in Capricorn.
Okay.
So
there must be some star which they have found. There must be some.
No, it's sun moon conjunction. Just like ours. Makara Sankranti is sun entering Capricorn. This is sun and moon conjoining. Even if you take, for example, you use solar calendar, Meena Masa, it starts around March 17 or so, when sun enters Meena, Pisces. And then it is there for 30 days. And our New Year, Telugu New Year, it doesn't come on a particular day. It keeps shifting by 10 days, and then it goes back. Shifts by 10 days, goes back. Shifts by 10 days. But it is always between March 15 and April 15, roughly, when sun is in Meena. So while sun is in Pisces, sun-moon conjunction can happen either at the beginning of Pisces or the middle of Pisces or the end of Pisces. So it will be during the 30-day period. The exact day changes. So that's true for our calendar, that's true for Ashada Shukla Pratipada, that's true for the Marwadi calendar, the Kartika Shukla Pratipada, that's true for Chinese calendar. Chinese calendar is, what should it be called?
The name of it?
Yeah, the name.
Purnima is in Capricorn.
No, I mean,
What is the month starts when sun and moon conjoin in Capricorn? What is the name of the month?
no. Pushyan Magha.
Pushya, month called Purnima
Magha.
Pushya.
Magha.
Wait, Pushya, Magha, Phalguna. Yeah, Magha Masa. Chinese New Year is
Magha Shukla Pratipada.
Magha Shukla Pratipada. So if you want to use Chinese New Year, you should use Magha Shukla Pratipada chart. And I haven't really done a lot of work with Magha Shukla Pratipada chart. But my guess is, if you want to do research, my thinking is, my gut feeling is that it will show very Kali kind of events. A lot of strife in the society. When and how and why there will be strife in the society. Because this is the sign of Kali. Not only strife, but all adharma, etc.
Why is Capricorn
Because Mars rules is Kali Yuga.
And he is exalted there.
Kali Yuga and Mars is exalted in Capricorn.
It's a tamasic sign,
And Saturn
owned by Saturn. And it's the sign where the planet of Kali Yuga, another tamasic planet Mars, is exalted. So it's a sign associated with two tamasic planets in a very favorable way. And especially Mars. And Jupiter gets debilitated there. Dharma gets debilitated there. If it is Aquarius, at least Jupiter is not unhappy. But in Capricorn.
There's some thought that the Chinese calendar actually is a Uranus Neptune conjunction cycle of 2600 years. And when they conjunct in the next lunar equinox, which is...
So it will change to the next time?
Exactly.
Okay.
They think that it needs to be moved to the last conjunction of Capricorn.
Okay.
So 2600 years ago.
I see. Okay. So there is this concept. He says that there is a concept that it will change. But right now it is Capricorn, the sign of Kali Yuga.
And how do you integrate some of these annual charts and other charts into the Samodabhadra chakra?
Into what?
Into the Samodabhadra chakra.
Sarvatopara Chakra?
Yeah.
Let's not talk about it now at all. Let's forget. Let's forget that there is something called Sarvatopara Chakra for now. So what we will do now is, I mentioned, okay, let me finish the other charts also, then we will start seeing the charts. And I will show you how to make them in the software and how to see them. So we talked about various solar calendars, various lunar calendars, And I said that Sun's entry into Aries is used mainly for the purpose of political. It's a political New Year chart. And Sun's entry into Capricorn is again a political chart, but more than politics happening at the high level, it's politics happening at the low level, at the level of masses. So Sun's entry into Aries, that chart, the Mesha Sankranti chart will show that New Year chart, that New Year chart based on solar calendar will show you the political happenings in the country. All the political intrigues, all the political moves by the big shots. So that's the focus. And for Sun's entry into Capricorn, for that chart, the focus is again political happenings, but at a very low level in the masses, how masses take the politics of the country, how they react to the politics. So again, both they are political charts, but the focus is different. And the lunar calendars, the Ashadha Shukla Pratipada chart is for weather patterns, and Chaitra Shukla Pratipada chart, which comes in April, the next coming chart. That chart is seen for general mundane events in the country, and Kartika Shukla Pratipada chart, the conjunction of Sun and Moon in Libra, that shows business matters in the country, the financial matters in the country. And it is possible that various conjunctions in various signs may also start New Years, and there may be something to be seen from those New Years. But I haven't done research on those, so I will not talk about others. But it is interesting that in a small country like India, you have 10 or 15 totally different calendars that are very popular in different parts of India. And it is possible that in some communities of India or some parts of India, certain areas of life are more important than certain others. And based on it, one kind of New Year chart just became more popular. That is possible. Now, the third category, I talked about solar calendars and lunar calendars. The third category is lunar calendar, but not Amanta. It's called Shuklanta lunar calendar. In this calendar, the new month starts at the full moon time. When moon is the fullest, that means it's exactly opposite sun, not together with sun. But when moon is exactly opposite sun, then he is fullest. Then the new month starts. And then moon will go ahead, he will become smaller, and he will conjoin sun. You can't see any moon then. And then again, you will see a new moon, he will become bigger, and then he will become fullest, then the month will end. And then a new month will start. And you will find it interesting that even the month names given in the Amanta calendar have something to do with the full moon. Take for example Chaitra Masa. Sun and moon conjunction in Pisces is supposed to be Chaitra Masa. What is the link between Chitra and Pisces? 180 degrees. So what it means is, if you take the full moon day within Chaitra Masa, moon is going to be in Chitra star. Similarly, the next Masa is called Vaishakha Masa. If you take the full moon day of that month, moon is going to be in Shakha star. The next Masa is, what is after Vaishakha? Jyeshtha. Moon is going to be in Jyeshtha. So like that, the constellation that moon is most likely to occupy on the full moon day of a month, that constellation gives the name of the month. So that gives you a clue that even in the Amanta calendar, the Purnima, the full moon day, is a very important event. So it is possible that originally there was only a full moon calendar, and new moon calendar was derived later after Kali Yuga came, based on the full moon calendar. That is actually the theory that Sanjay ji believes in. He believes that full moon calendar was the only calendar long back, and the new moon calendar was derived from it. So I don't have any rigid views on that matter, but all these charts do work, various of these charts. It's not that new moon calendar is totally a relevant calendar. Sanjay ji is from Orissa, where they use this Shuklanta calendar, so for him this is the most important calendar. So now, within this calendar, again you can see where sun and moon are. They will be opposite each other, exactly opposite each other when a new month starts. But based on the one that's most important is sun in Aries and moon in Libra. When sun is in Aries and moon is exactly opposite him, that is basically Vaishakha Purnima, right? That Vaishakha Purnima chart, that chart is used as a new year chart for Oriya, people from Orissa and Bengal. Oh, some Tamil people also use it?
Yeah, Tamil use
Okay, Tamil people also use that, the Vaishakha Purnima chart. And in general, the teaching of Sanjay Ji is that the Amanta calendar, where the month starts on a new moon day, when moon is just coming out, you see when basically you don't see any moon, that's when the new month starts. So those kind of months, that kind of calendar is important for seeing mundane events and material and mundane kind of events. And full moon is considered an auspicious time for spiritual purpose, because sun is the natural significator of the first house of Atma, basically soul, and moon is the natural significator of mind and also desires, and seventh house is the house of desires. So when moon is in the seventh house from sun, basically the seventh from moon, it shows the desire of mind. Moon is mind, and the seventh from moon is the desire of the mind. So whatever is in the seventh from moon, that's what moon desires, that's what mind desires. So when sun is in the seventh from moon, mind desires soul, basically. So that is an auspicious time for spiritual propitiation, for spiritual events. So full moon day is considered an important event for spiritual events, an important thing for spiritual events. And all the new moon, all the full moon based calendars, their focus is on spirituality. So spiritual important events in the country from the spiritual point of view, those events you can see based on full moon charts. Okay?
We have to make this software.
Yeah, software can make it for you.
No, but for the capitals of the country.
For the capital of the country, yeah.
This country has two capitals.
Use the capital that is in use. Yeah, some countries may have two capitals. Some states, for example, in India have summer capital and winter capital. So if you are using a summer chart, use summer capital. If you are using a winter chart, use winter capital. What is the other one?
No.
Another one.
Long back, not now. You don't care about a capital that used to be capital 200 years back or 100 years back. You care about current capital. Yeah, right.
Is this the reason why we always have the pujas on Purnami day?
Purnima is considered very auspicious, yes, for puja.
Even there is another thing, like if you do a puja at the seashore,
Yeah.
you also consider it.
There are a lot of places, seashores, caves, mountains, so many, middle of the sea, middle of the ocean, what?
Close to nature maybe.
Seashore is the most I have been.
Right, right.
Samudra
Yeah, yeah,
And with the Purnami day, we are supposed to be most auspicious.
right. I'm not sure why the seashore or a cave or in the middle of an ocean is considered auspicious. I'm not 100% sure. But the time-wise, Purnima is a very auspicious day for spiritual matters, yeah. Maybe like you said, close to nature. Maybe. But there must be more to it. Basically, as far as seashore is concerned, it makes sense. But other things like caves, middle of the ocean, I'm not 100% sure. Or mountains. But for seashore, what is the sign in the natural zodiac? Can anybody, not you, anybody else, can you tell me what is the natural sign in the zodiac that signifies seashore? Good guess? Second guess? Aquarius, like I told you earlier, it shows mountains, hills, mountainous region. So what else? Oh, good guess, because it is Kumbha, it is a part of water. Which other sign is associated with water? Okay, fish. What is fish? Meena. Meena, especially when you are doing prashnas, you should know all the significations of various signs. Pisces, what are the various things shown by Pisces? Seashore is one thing. What is the other thing? Ocean itself. In the middle of the ocean is also, what else? Watery places. What else? Prisons. Why prisons? Hospitals, yes. 12th house. 12th house is Bandhana. So it is prisons, hospitals, all these places are also so. Tea stalls. Anything, lot of places associated with water, liquids, and also associated with Bandhana. Those are shown by Pisces. What about a Rishi's ashrama? A hermitage of a Maharshi. Which one? Of course there are hermitages even today. So what would show that? Should be Pisces. Should be Pisces. And what does Capricorn show? There are a lot of things, but one popular thing is marshland. Makara actually literally means crocodile, doesn't mean marshland, but
It's both some land and some water.
there should be some land. And why some land? Because it is a Bhurati. It is an Ati sign, but it is associated with crocodile, which is a watery animal. So it is land that is not really fully water, but there is some water, there is some land. So marshlands is one thing associated by Ketukan. You guys should read up the list of various things that various signs stand for. There may be a list in my book, so read my book and also look at a lot of classics. Look at Brihat Samhita, for example. Varahimihira's Brihat Samhita, even Brihat Jatakam, they have some information. And if you want a modern book, there is a book by Gayatri Devi Vasudev, daughter of Dr. PVR Narasimha. I think it's called Prasna or Horary Astrology. It's a book on Prasna. She has a book on Horary Astrology. I think it's Prasna. So she hasn't written a lot of books, so you should be able to easily find. It's written by Gayatri Devi Vasudev. It's a very small book, and it's a nice book on Prasna, but it has in the initial chapters, she gives the meanings of various signs, various planets, various houses. It's a very comprehensive list. Probably one of the best lists that I have seen. So that's a good book to have. Okay, now coming back to the calendar, we went into this from seashore, right? And we went into seashore from Purnima. Okay. So Shuklanta. So this calendar is called Shuklanta because it ends with the Shuklapaksha. It does not start with Shuklapaksha. It ends with the Shuklapaksha. It starts with Krishnapaksha and ends with the full moon. So this is called Shuklanta calendar. So you have Amanta lunar calendar, Amanta Chandramana, you have Shuklanta Chandramana, and you have Sauramana, which is solar calendar. So you have various of these manas, various of these ways of measuring. Now, I have already given you some hints on which particular New Year chart should be used for what purposes. And what we will do now is, we will just focus on one particular New Year chart. The New Year that is going to come on April 9th, the Chaitra Shukla Pratipada chart, and let us see how to judge it. It is very simple. What you do is, first, how do you make the chart? If you are using Jagannath Hora, what you first do is, change the place to the capital of the country that you are interested in. Suppose we want to make some, let's actually start by India. We are in US. Let's start with Washington DC first. Let's take Washington DC. And first let us see for the last year, how the last year was. Okay? And we don't want Siddhamsa. We want Navamsa because these days yours doesn't seem to learn, so let's not give T24. Doesn't matter. Any date that you are interested in. Because we are not going to use this chart. We are going to use the previous or the next Lunar New Year chart. So what you do is go to the mundane tab. You can see that there are a lot of things available here. If you look at item number 2, the button number 2, this is Solar New Year based on AR, that is Aries. And this is Solar New Year based on Capricorn. And this is Solar New Month. And this is Meteorological New Year. This is basically Ardra Pravesha, Sun entering Ardra. And annual full moon, monthly full moon. These full moons are the Shuklanta calendar. This annual full moon is what Sanjay ji loves. And this Lunar New Year, this is the Telugu or Kannada New Year based on Chaitra Shukla Pratipada. And Lunar New Month, this is from the date that you enter here, you can either find the previous or the next new month or new year. That's what the software allows you to do. And then this financial new year is Diwali day, basically Kartika Shukla Pratipada. And also I gave this facility. You can select the sign you want and then use the new moon, click the new moon button, and you can find a new year chart based on various of these signs. You can use that to find, for example, if you select Gemini, you can find the Ashara Shukla Pratipada chart that I said you can use for natural calamities and rain, etc. So this is basically how you can find the chart. And let us say we want to find the Lunar New Year chart and we want to find the previous chart, not the next coming chart, but the last New Year chart. So if you select previous year, it is already selected. Click Lunar New Year. you will see that the date is March 20, 2004. On March 20 of last year, at around 5:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time at Washington DC, we are making the chart. At that time, if you see here, Sun is at 6 degrees 45 minutes 3.62 seconds in Pisces, and Moon is at 6 degrees 45 minutes 3.64 seconds. There is a 0.02 second. Moon is ahead by 0.02 seconds. Ideally, you should make the chart when Moon is slightly ahead, not exactly 0, slightly ahead. So it's 0.00001 half seconds ahead. But software basically has certain limits because I'm using double values. I don't have 128-bit floating values. I'm not using those. I'm just using normal double values, double floating values. So this is the time when a new year started at Washington DC. So you can use this chart to see how the year will be. First, will it be a good year for US or will it be a year of lot of instability? So if you want to do that, what you do is, see, you can use the Hora, Karna, Yoga, etc. But let us ignore all those for now. Let us just stick to the chart itself. You can give a lot of readings. Any question there? Any confusion?
How did you get 2004? I selected previous and
No.
Did you click Lunar New Year? What is the date you had there? The originally?
original date was
Click on N, then it go to natal chart, which is basically that data you entered. What data did you enter?
2005.
2005, what date?
April 9.
By April 9, already the new year must have started. So when you say previous, it does previous from the date that you have given for the chart. So it gives
April
the
9 by this
select today's date. For
has
example.
already started. Right?
Yeah. Yes, exactly. The new year has already started at that time. Okay. So looking at this chart, and what do various houses mean now? We are talking about countries. We are not talking about people. So 10th house shows, normally what does 10th house show? In human beings, karma. For countries, what does it show? Again, karma. That is basically the executive branch of the government, the execution. Because that is, the executive wing of the government is what does karma for the country. What should 9th house show? Policies, rules. And who upholds the dharma? Is president supposed to uphold the dharma, or is the judiciary supposed to uphold the dharma? Judiciary. Of course, sometimes there can be intervention, but ideally it is the judiciary that upholds the dharma of the land or the adharma of the land. So whichever is it is 9th house. Dharma or lack of it is from the 9th house. So the one who uphold it or downhold it, you see it from the 9th house. So 9th house is the judiciary of the country, and it is also the religiousness of the country, because dharma is upheld at a material level by the courts and at a spiritual level by the churches in the country, the churches, the temples, the religious and spiritual people of the country, the religious and spiritual leaders of the country. They are seen from the 9th lord. The judges, they are also seen from the 9th lord. And what does 8th house show? Instability, changes, anxiety of people, unrest, all those things are from the 8th house. And what does Lagna show? The very existence of the country, how people feel overall, how the country is doing overall. And what does the 2nd house show? So what are the resources of country? Money, people, finances, stars, all this. Natural resources also.
You mean the relief and like food grains,
Agriculture also, yes. How agriculture is during that year. And what does 3rd house show? Initiative, boldness, bravery. How the country overcomes. Not really overcoming. Overcoming is from the 6th house. But this is the boldness of the country, the initiative. If a country goes to war, it must involve 3rd house and 6th house, because there is initiative and also overcoming. And which house shows what? 6th house. And 3rd house shows the initiative. So, pardon me? for climate also, for natural calamities and climates, etc. And what else? So like that you can judge various houses. Okay? And the losses of the country are from the 12th house and the gains of the country are from 11th house. And who shows the friends of the country? 11th house is the house of friends. 7th house is the house of your interaction. So 7th house is the house of foreign policy. Which house will show foreign policy of the country? 7th house, because that is how you are interacting with other people. So 7th house is for foreign policy and 11th house is for friends. So this is how various houses mean various things. It's very similar to normal birth charts, normal individual charts.
So the 10th house will show the people in general.
In general, people, especially the small people in the country.
I mean, it's following a small people, but also shows everything, though.
Yeah. Everybody, but the focus is on small people.
Children of the country.
Children of the country. We are all children of the country. The children are more children. No. Now, if you want to just take a shot at this particular chart, do you see any yoga, very important yogas in the chart? First of all, is Lagna Lord, are they strong or weak? There is a Parivartana involving Lagna Lord. Did everybody notice that?
Yeah.
The Lagna Lord Sun is in the 8th house and the 8th Lord Jupiter is in the Lagna. So there is an exchange between 1st house and 8th house. Is it a good yoga or a Dur yoga? It's a Dur yoga. Even though Sun and Jupiter are friends, it is a Dur yoga. 1st and 8th is always bad. What does it show? Anxiety. So if you were looking at this chart at the beginning of last year and you were asked, will US start really doing well, will the economy take off and will people be relaxed during this year, what would you say? Will the Iraq war be completely finished? People are happy and relaxed? What does the chart show? No. The country will continue to be anxious. Because both the planets, Sun and Jupiter, are in friendly signs and they are friends, it's actually better than, let's say, Mars and Saturn having a Dur yoga. This is a lot better, but still it's not good. And what about the finances of the country? Second house Mercury? Second Lord Mercury, yeah? Yeah?
Mercury in 8th is good, right?
Mercury in 8th is good, but is second Lord in 8th good?
Yeah, they may get a huge inheritance.
Yeah. By the way, 8th house is also the house of
Inheritance.
borrowing. 8th house is the house for borrowing. It's the house of also getting money, inheriting. What you said is also right. 8th house is the house of inheriting lot of money from some elder. Of course, we are born very money from an elder. But 8th house is the house in human chart, is the house of inheritance, also big debts, including karmic debts. Material debts as well as spiritual debts, karmic debts, all kind of debts. So here, the Lagna Lord is in the 8th house along with second Lord. The second house of resources is in the 8th house with Lagna Lord. So would you say that, let us say the country was borrowing a lot of money for the last few years. If you see this chart, would you predict that the borrowing would end and country would be more fiscally responsible during the year? No. Would you have said that based on this chart? No. But again, if you want to say more about that, you are better off looking at the Libra chart, the other chart, the Kartika Sukha Pratipada chart. Based on this shows how people feel. This is a lunar calendar based on Pisces. So this is the general lunar New Year chart. If you want to see everything from this, you won't have full success. But what you can see is the debt will be on the top of people's mind. People will be, in the country in general, people will be concerned about the financial position and the borrowing. But will the country financially do well? How will the stocks be? Will the borrowing be really terrible? All those things you will see better from the other chart. So now there is another Raj Yoga. Actually not another, there is a Raj Yoga. Can you see the Raj Yoga?
Yeah.
The Parivartana between 9th and 10th Lord. Do you see what Kiran said? Did everybody see that? The 9th Lord Mars is in the 10th house and 10th Lord Venus is in the 9th house. So what does that show? Is it a good yoga or a bad yoga? It's a good yoga. But is it the best? The planets are Venus and Mars. They are terrific, terrible enemies. So it's not really great, but it's a good yoga. Functionally it's good. So is this yoga good for the ruler of the country? Yeah. On the other hand, if you saw the 10th Lord in 8th house or something, and if there are elections during the year, you can guess that maybe there will be change here. But if the 10th Lord is actually taking part in a good yoga, good Raj Yoga, maybe it's not bad for him after all. So if you see the 10th Lord strong, the executive wing of the government will do well during that year. But there is this parivartana between 9th and 10th Lord. The 9th Lord and 10th Lord are enemies and there is a parivartana between them. So can you conclude that the judiciary and the executive wing, judiciary wing and the executive wing will have some clashes between them during this particular year? And pardon me?
They have classes, but they work together.
It's a Raj Yoga, so overall it will be good for the country, but there may be some friction between these two wings of the government, but finally things will work out.
Is it because of Rahu's influence there?
I'm not even using Rahu, just Venus and Mars having Parivartana itself. If you see Venus and Mars having Parivartana in a chart and giving a Raj Yoga, what you can conclude is there will be good results, but there will be a lot of friction before those results materialize, because they are enemies. You are telling the enemies to work together and do something good. They will do it, but they will do it with enmity. Okay? The 12th Lord is in 8. That's good. That's good. Yeah. Now, if the country is in a war, would you expect the country to back off during this year? Third and sixth house. First, initiative. Initiative is from the third house. How is initiative? How is third house? Third house has a malefic Ketu, and who is aspecting it? By Rashi Drishti. Jupiter and Mars. So Ketu will he show aggression or will he show, okay, actually maybe we have to take it easy? He shows aggression. What kind of aggression does Ketu show? Headless aggression. Ketu is headless. So he shows thoughtless, dumb kind of aggression. Okay? And aggression that is probably a mistake also. So that is what Ketu shows. And Mars aspect will reinforce that, but Jupiter is aspecting it. So there will be some second thoughts. So during this year, the country may continue the wars that it is doing. It will take an aggressive posture in the country, aggressive posture in the world, but Jupiter's aspect shows that some logical thinking may actually start to creep in. And they may start to think of peace, how to actually get peace, start to think about the long term. So that is what Jupiter's aspect shows. Now,
but he also has Mars influence, right?
Yeah. So they are not going to stop anything. But because of the Jupiter's influence, they may start making some amends. Okay? You can consider Rail also, but for now let's stick to Lagna. From Mars what?
Rashi Drishti.
Yeah, Rashi Drishti. I'm looking at Rashi Drishti. Okay. Let's forget AL. What does AL mean? The image of the country. Yeah. During this year, US will continue to be perceived as a headless country. Yeah. This year means the year that we are running right now. This is still this year. After April 9, you can say last year.
Yeah, 6th house also, if you look at astrology, it's still Mars and Jupiter aspect.
Yeah.
Saturn is a lot of the house sitting in the 11th house.
Right. 11th house is the house of friends. And if the 6th Lord is in 11th house, what does it mean? 6th house is the house of your war. and the Saturn whose agenda is to give you war, and also 7th house, so some foreign policy. So Saturn's agenda is to give a war and to have some selfish foreign policy. That is Saturn's agenda. He is in the house of friends. So what would you do? You will go and tell your friend, this war is good, come on, help us. So it's not really great. And again the 11th lord is in 8th house. So in terms of friendship in the world, it's not really such a great year. Even this year was not a great year. Now, dashas. How do you see dashas? You can use Vimshottari Dasha. That Dasha itself is, Vimshottari Dasha is good enough. And the software automatically compresses the Dasha for 1 year. Instead of 120 years, the 120 years will be compressed to the duration of this year. And the duration of the year is defined as the time from the new year, the current new year, to the time of the next new year. Software finds the exact up to seconds, the new year chart and also the next new year chart. Even though you ask the software for 1 new year chart, it finds the next new year chart also and finds the duration exactly, and then it compresses the chart to that period. So if you want to time various events that happen during the year, see, for example, take Jupiter Dasha. It started on February 1st. During February and March, US is running Jupiter, actually not just US, every country. For different countries, the Dasha will be the same, but the Lagna will be different. But again, based on the Lagna for some countries, some other Dasha may have to be used. For US, it is Vimshottari Dasha. So, February-March is a relatively better period because it is Jupiter Dasha. He is in Lagna. So, it's a new beginning, some calm, because he is also the 5th lord. 5th is the house of emotion. So, because he is in Lagna, some calm. And as for relations with the other countries, is Jupiter good or bad? He is affecting, we said that the 3rd house is afflicted by Ketu and Mars, showing lot of headless, aggressive posturing. And Jupiter's aspect, we said, brings some balance and some desire to get other countries on board, some desire to make some amends and have some compromise basically with other countries. We said that Jupiter will give that nature. And when will Jupiter give that result? In Jupiter Dasha, of course. So during February and March, there can be some compromises that the country makes or some signals that the country sends to other countries. For example, Bush went to Europe. He said, I'm going to explain my position to Europe and start the process of making amends. Yeah, Condoleezza Rice, she went around the world. And even though you may not read a lot in the newspapers, basically, because this is not just an Arudha, we are seeing from the Lagna. So, whether or not people come to know about it or not, there will be some change in the government's stance with respect to other countries and with respect to foreign policy. That's what Jupiter shows. There will be some loosening of the aggressive posturing. And looking at what is reported in the newspaper, that is likely to have happened. When Bush and Rice went to Europe and Rice went to Asia, some changes in the strategy may have happened, even though we don't really know about that. But in order to see the foreign policy, what is the right chart? Is it Raj chart or some other chart? I want somebody to just, not Narayan, but somebody else to take a guess. Navamsha is the chart of relations and dharma. So, if you want to see the foreign policy of a country, the foreign relations, Navamsha is the right chart. So, in Navamsha again, is Jupiter good or bad? Jupiter is Lagna Lord. So, he is in charge of the entire foreign policy. The Lagna and 7th house are very important, right? Lagna is you and 7th house is others. And there is a relationship. So, Lagna Lord Jupiter is in 10th house. So, it shows some karma. 10th house is the house of work. So, it shows some karma done by the country relating to relations with other countries. So, this is a good year. This is a good period, Jupiter period. On the other hand, if you were to talk about moon period, October 12 to November 13, Suppose Bush came to you and asked you, I want to go and tour Europe on a goodwill mission. I want to do it between October 12 and November 13. Is it a good time for me? What would you tell him? Of course, you would tell him elections are coming up, don't do that, concentrate on the elections. But suppose that's not the case, what would you tell Bush? What Mankarasthana? Who is in Mankarasthana? In the Rashi chart. Yeah. Let's focus on the foreign relations. He is 8th Lord in the 10th house. Is he good or bad? Okay. So it's not really such a great period. So like this you can judge various things. Okay. Is there anything else that you want to see? Anything else? Mercury Dasha? Yeah, Mercury is a better Dasha. So this, like this you look at various Dashas and you see how what happens in the country during this time. How is Sun Dasha? Is it a good Dasha or bad Dasha? I'm not talking about foreign policy now, but in general for the country. Is Sun Dasha a good Dasha or a bad Dasha? Is this a Dasha of stability and peace, or is it a Dasha when the country is going through a lot of turmoil and lot of anxiety? Why is it anxiety during Sun Dasha? Lagna Lord, Sun is in the 8th house, yes. Yeah. And do you want to see the longitudes and latitudes of Sun? Sun is at 6 degrees. And who is closest to them? Of course, Moon will be always with Sun. But which other planet or Upagraha is close to Sun? Mercury. Where is Mercury? 22 degrees. He is far away.
Mars.
What Mars? You want to check Gulika and Mandi? Yes. Where is Gulika? He is in the same degree. Gulika is at 6 degrees, 16 minutes, 5 feet. Period of? Pardon me? Receiving poison. Actually, Gulika is... Right. Is it right? It's opposite from what I know. But I know that Sanjay may have taught you like that once, but once he taught me, Mandi is what you receive, Gulika is what you give. That is why Mandi Vimshotri shows the poison that you drink, the trouble that you get. Vimshotri Dasha you start only from Mandi, not from Gulika.
So you have Gulika in your fighting.
Yeah.
Remember that aspect, you had help from.
We will look at it later. But also in Chandrasekhar Saraswati's chart, Gulika Shashamsha Sanjayji interpreted one way. He said both the ways. I don't know which is more accurate. But bottom line is, see the thing is Gulika and Mandi, there are two sons of Saturn. And one shows giving poison to others and the other shows receiving poison from other people. And there is actually another view held by some scholars that actually Mandi and Gulika are not two, but there is only one. Because no classic mentions both of them. Those two are the same name for the same son of Saturn. That is another view. But bottom line is, Gulika is very close to Sun. Whether he is giving poison or drinking poison doesn't matter. There is some poison involved. In general, if a planet is closely afflicted by Gulika, it is bad. Remember that. If you see a planet very closely afflicted by Gulika, that Dasha, the planet Dasha, you can see some trouble. And if the planet happens to be Sun or Moon, it's even worse. Yeah, because it is Saturn. Saturn's son. Gulika is a son of Saturn.
He loves his father.
He loves his father. He is like his father. He is like his father. He is not like his grandfather. He is completely like his father. He is worse than his father. His father has some dharma. Gulika doesn't have that dharma.
No, even Mandi.
Yeah.
Can you see elections from this?
Elections. Okay. So what Dasha was US running during elections?
Moon.
Moon Mercury. Pardon me? Yeah.
No, and the 12th Lord is good.
12th Lord in the 12th Lord in the 8th house is good.
Yeah, it's the 12th Lord.
But it's the 12th Lord. He is the 12th Lord.
It's good that he's not.
He won't give losses or he will ask you to.
Give up. He won't be able to do his job.
Okay. One interesting thing is if you find the lunar New Year chart of US, when it had elections in the last several elections, you will find that the Vinchotri Dasha, when you find the compressed Vinchotri Dasha, the Antardasha always happens to be misplaced for some reason. It's an interesting thing to observe. Yeah. I looked at 6 elections. Yeah. At the time of the election, what Antardasha was, the Dasha changes, but the Antardasha was always misplaced. I don't know why. In general, Mercury is the karaka for the election process, counting, etc. In a democracy, Mercury is the karaka for counting of votes and taking all views and forming one view. So, he is the karaka. It could be because of that, but I don't know for sure. But looking at the dasha, would you say that this is a good period for the king or good period for his enemy? Where do you see the king from? How do you see the king? King of the country. 10th house, okay. 10th house or 10th lord? We are seeing elections were held on November 2nd. Are they good for the king or bad for the king? Good for the president or will the president lose? You want to see from this chart. The question is, the 10th house shows the executive wing, like we already said. Now, is it the 10th lord that should be seen for king or the 10th house? So that's the question.
10th Lord.
I want you to give your opinion because it doesn't. House is circumstance and house lord is the animated part. So do you think the president Bush is
In the animation character.
There is a life there. There is a life.
So you think that there is life, okay? Right, there is, yeah. So the
Sriram has
future.
valid point. Occupant of the executive wing is the president.
What if there is no occupant?
Then you go for the Lord.
He's not on vacation.
He's not on vacation.
Okay. Tell me.
You have to look at both. That's the Lord and the occupant.
See, okay, that's a good view, but my view is, again, there is no clear classical guidance here, but my view is, 10th house is the administration, not the administrator, it's the administration. What kind of administration the administrators give to the country? That is inanimate. When you are saying the governance of Bush and other people, the governance that they are giving to the country, that is inanimate. So that is from the 10th house. And the people who are actually giving the governance are from the Lord of the 10th house.
Right. So when you look at George Bush,
Yeah?
he's the one directing the beginning.
Right.
So it has to you take the Lord as well as the
10th Lord is known.
Okay. Occupants are basically other people who are involved in the administration.
that's how they work.
People, their agendas are something else.
Influence.
They are other influences. Not even occupants. You can look at aspectors also. All those are, see, if you look at Mars, he has some other agenda. He is the 4th Lord, he is the 9th Lord. It could be judiciary. He is intervening in the execution, the governance in some way or the other. That's what Mars shows. It could be some aggressive judiciary who is intervening in the governance. That could be Mars.
We take the Lord out.
The Lord is always, he is the one whose agenda it is to promote that house. It is the one who is responsible for that house. It is the one who is the intelligence behind that house, who is the driving force behind that house. So you always take the Lord. So,
Nails it over the Lord. It's the lowest priority.
pardon me? Still, it is his agenda. Malefics are benefits. It is his agenda. Whether he will do the agenda well or not, whether the governor will govern well or not is a different issue. But governor is the one who is supposed to govern. But there will be other people. When governor is governing, there will be some judges, there will be some legislators, there will be some businessmen, there will be some corporates which will come and try to intervene in the governance and try to influence the governance. It may be lobbyists. So they have their own agenda. But they try to... Pardon me? The agenda will come from the house they own. The main agenda is always from the house that you own. And your Grahadrishti shows the special desires you nurture. So there may be a businessman who nurtures the vision of being a senator once. So then he has a particular desire, but his agenda is to promote his corporation's views in the country. So the house owned is the main agenda of the planet. The Grahadrishti is the desire of the planet. The Rashidrishti or occupying is the influence that the planet readily has over various matters. Okay? Now, you haven't given me the answer. So is it good for the president or bad for the president? Look at the 10th Lord. From the 10th Lord, Moon and Mercury, are they good or bad? The Dasha and Antardasha at the time of election. Is it good or bad? Yeah.
It is falling the same.
This is what they are looking at the Pata. They are looking at Venus, the 10th Lord.
From moon, the Bhoga is in Aquarius.
Yeah.
So and that Lord is there.
So okay, you are looking at the Bhoga from Moon to Mercury. It is in Pisces itself.
Okay.
So from the 10th Lord, where is it?
No, but it gives tension to the...
So during that period, there will be tensions to the country.
Yeah.
But how will it be for Bush and how will it be for Ketu?
The soul from Lord, so that means the loss of the tension is gain from the Lord. Venus. For good.
It is what?
Like Venus takes the president.
Yeah, take Venus as Lagna, okay.
Lagna, and the Pisces becomes south house.
Yeah.
It is in general it is 8 hours for the country.
Yeah.
That means lot of that is good for a lot of the tension is good.
Why loss of tension?
Because looking from perspective of the nation.
Forget the nation. Just look from Bush. What do you say?
Basically, he's not lost. I mean, he must have the grandson.
Yeah.
Losing. He's losing his mix. He's losing his partner.
Yeah. Basically, would you have predicted President coming back based on this?
No.
Based on this analysis? No. So this is not the chart to see when Bush will be elected or not. What? So what is the chart that I said for?
Sun entering Aries or Sun entering Makara.
Yeah, which should be seen.
There would be two perspectives.
Sun entering Aries, what would it show?
It is overall the higher level.
The high level big politics, the political mechanics, etc. And if you want to look at an election process, etc., what would be an ideal? Okay. So if you try that, then you will be able to see this better. So let us see the previous. Let's say back to natal chart. Now solar New Year CP chart. So on January, now we are looking at this year. So if you want to see previous year, let me change this to the election date. I'm making November 2, 2004 and saying Makara Sankranti chart. So it was January 14, 2004, 1314. January 14, 2004 at around 1:04 p.m. That's when the new year started, based on Makara Sankranti, the solar calendar based on Makara Sankramana. Okay. So let us see the dasha for this. Okay. Is this a good? Now, is this Venus dasha a good dasha for the king or not? Do you see the king actually leaving office or continuing in power? Pardon me? No. Venus is Lagna Lord. Don't go by that. If Venus is Lagna Lord in the 10th house, Venus agenda is country's good. And country's well-being. And he is in the 10th house means country's well-being will be the karma of the country, the governance of the country, the administration of the country will do some things that will result in the country feeling good. But that doesn't show Bush coming back. So to see Bush, look at 10th Lord himself. Rahu and Saturn, who's stronger? Saturn. Saturn is stronger. Why? Rahu is aspected only by Jupiter, not by Mars, not by Mercury. His dispositor Mars doesn't aspect, Mercury doesn't aspect. Only Jupiter aspects Rahu. But Saturn is aspected by, he is not aspected by Jupiter, but he is aspected by Mercury as well as his dispositor, who is Mercury himself. So Saturn, when you look at the aspects on the two planets by Mercury, Jupiter and dispositor, Mercury gives 2 words to Saturn. Saturn has a count of 2. Rahu has a count of only 1 coming from Jupiter. So Saturn wins.
Saturn is actually sitting in the second house of resources.
So Saturn is sitting in the resources is a different matter. Look from Saturn, Venus, how is he placed? Does he show losing power or getting power? He is the 5th Lord. He is in 9th house. If trine Lord, one trine Lord is in another trine, it's great. Planets in trine show blessings. Things that come easily, of course it didn't come easily, but they show blessings. So, the 5th Lord, Venus in the 5th Lord again, what does 5th show? Power. So is it a good period for, would you say that this is good for the president? So looking at this, you can say that he'll be lucky. He really got lucky. It wasn't even a prolonged election as people were expecting or afraid of. It just got over in half a day and he just won. If you look at things more closely, it was a very close election. Just a few 100,000 votes would have made a big difference. But he was lucky at the end. It seems like a landslide now. And he even talks about, I have the mandate to push my agenda. He talks in those terms. But if you look at the percentage votes, he has a 3% margin, but it's not a big margin. And if you look at the electoral votes, he just made it because of Ohio. But finally, he seemed to have such a big mandate. He has been lucky during this year, and that's what it shows. But even if he is lucky, if the opponent is also lucky, then it can be a tight election. How is the opponent? How do you see the opponent of the... No. 6th house is the opponent of the country, not the opponent of the king. 10th house is the governance, and the opposition of the governance, the opposite party. That is 6th house from 10th house. 10th house is the ruling party or the current governance, administration. What is the 6th from 10? Third house. So, third house will be the opposition given by the opposition party. The actual leader, like Kerry, will be seen from the Lord, Moon. So from him, Venus is in the 6th house. Is it a good placement? Is it a good placement for getting power? No. 6th house is actually the second from 5th. It is the end of power, end of quest for power. And also he is in Manakarka Sthana. Venus is the 9th Lord, the 2nd and 9th Lord. He is in Manakarka Sthana. So his protection is lost. His protection is being destroyed. So, not only Kerry, the whole opposition party was wiped out. In this particular election, Democrats suffered heavy losses. And that's what this chart shows. So if you compare the Makar Sankranti chart with the other chart, which one do you think is working more in a more natural way, without any... See, even in the other chart, we can do some twisting, we can twist around some logic, and we can explain why Moon Mercury gave victory to Bush. But based on all the basics that we know, it's not coming out. So you have to twist things. And with this chart, you don't have to twist things because this is the right chart. And if you want to look at, we are talking about election. On the other hand, if I was talking about Bush and Rumsfeld doing some high-level politics, doing something, some political intrigue in the country, some Brahma Israel leaving the country, leaving the administration, somebody else coming, or Pavel leaving, if you want to look at all those things, then it is Mesha Sankranti chart. So like that you have to go to the right chart. Then things will come out correctly. And in all honesty, I don't have a perfect answer. There are so many charts that are used in various parts of India, and I have some insights based on my experience into some of these charts. But my knowledge in this particular matter may not be perfect because I haven't really done research in hundreds of charts. I just looked at maybe a few tens of events in a handful of countries using these techniques. So I'm not 100% sure. But my belief has always been that if you stick to basics and if you think straight and if you think honestly, whatever answers you will come up with will actually work instead of trying to twist things and trying to manipulate things. So my belief is whatever I am teaching you is basically something that works, but there may be some fine tuning that is needed. So you may have to work on that. But let us go back to the Lunar New Year chart. Actually, before that, why don't we look at the Diwali day, Diwali chart, the financial, because everybody is interested in financial things. Look at financial New Year. Oops, it shows 2003. So let us make this year. So let us say February 2, doesn't matter. Yeah, right. So let us say, so I have the chart for February 2, 2005. So I'll say the previous financial New Year. So this will show the Kartika Shukla Pratipada chart. So this is on November 12, 2004 at 9:28 a.m. So if you look at this chart, how is the year overall for the financial markets, etc.? How is this year? Is this a good year or bad year? Just look at the strength of Lagna and say. For a lot, I'm not really giving much importance. I'm saying both the Lagna lords are in the 12th house. And Lagna, who is occupying Lagna? Is somebody with a nice agenda occupying Lagna? Yeah, that's Mercury. 8th and 11th lord. So 8th lord sitting in Lagna. Is it good for Lagna? No. 8th lord's agenda is to, what is his agenda? Anxiety, debt, borrow. That's 8th lord's agenda. And he is in Lagna. So the country's financial existence is governed by the principle of borrowing. And also anxiety. Country has to live with anxiety during this year. So this is a terrible year for the country, financially. This is not a great year in financial terms. And even Lagna Lord is in the 12th house. On the other hand, let us say we are interested in India. We want to see how the finances will be for India during this year. So let us say we want the financial year chart of India. You can see that it will be exactly the same chart, except that it is in Telugu. Yeah. Because I started a new instance, went back to the standard default. It is exactly the same chart, except that Lagna is in Gemini. Lagna is in Gemini. So, overall, how is this chart? The Lagna Lord is in 6th house. Is it a good house? When you are talking about financial matters? Arthatrikona and also Upjaya. It's very important that it's an Upjaya. Upjaya, what does it literally mean? I told you earlier. 3, 6, 10 and 11 are Upjaya. What does it mean? Growth, accumulation. Upjaya literally means accumulation. So, if the Lagna Lord is in an Upjaya, it is good. Especially for Mercury, 6th house is a good house. 7th house is not such a good house, but 6th and 8th are good houses for Mercury.
So what is that again? Upjaya, is it bad thing to go to that?
Upjaya?
It's an Upjaya.
Yeah.
It's not a work.
Yeah.
But Mercury is placed in that, how does it act? Why is it good?
Because Mercury is conducive to accumulation. Some planets don't want to accumulate. Some planets want to accumulate. And in general, malefics want to accumulate. Mercury, even though he is not a malefic, he is conducive to accumulation. There are different planets have different natures. And Mercury's nature is, he is fine with accumulating things. Yeah, he likes to learn. Yeah. No. You are. Yeah. We'll leave that for now. But bottom line is, even if it's not Mercury, if you see Lagna Lord in the 6th house, if you see that in the Pisces New Year chart, the other New Year chart, the Chaitra Shukla Pratipada chart, it may not be that good. If you see Lagna Lord in the 6th house, that may be a year when there will be the country will have to deal with lot of obstacles and also wars, etc. So it may not be good. But here in the financial New Year chart, if you see Lagna Lord in the Nukseya, it is good. It shows country accumulating wealth during that particular year. So it's a good combination. And also if you look at the 4th house, the 4th house has a Rajoga. Why am I looking at 4th house, Venus and Jupiter? Because they are aspecting the Lagna. If you look at influences on Lagna, earlier we said Mercury is in Lagna for US, right? For this chart, nobody is in Lagna, but 2 planets are aspecting Lagna. And is their aspect on Lagna good for Lagna? Depends on who they are. If they are 6th and 8th Lord, it may not be good. Who are they? They are 10th Lord Jupiter and 5th Lord Venus having a Raja Yoga. 5th and 10th Lord. There is a Raja Yoga, also 7th and 5th Lord. So there is a Raja Yoga between Venus and Jupiter, and they are reasonably close, not very close, 7 degrees apart, 7-8 degrees apart. So they are not too far. So it's a functional Raja Yoga. So this Raja Yoga giving planets, they are aspecting the Lagna, these 2 planets. So overall, on the other hand, US had 8th Lord in Lagna. So compared to US, India has a better New Year chart financially. So during this year, it's good for India financially.
Yeah, Venus is a lot of different health.
Yeah.
So we see things as well.
He will give both the effects, but the stronger one will show more prominently. Which is stronger, 5th or 12th here? 5th is stronger. 5th is much stronger. So those results will be seen more, but there will be some 12th house related results also. So there will be some losses also.
Venus is nature.
Right. Now let us say we want to look at the annual full moon chart, the Vaishaka Purnima chart, annual full moon chart. This chart is cast when Sun is in Aries and Moon is exactly opposite. If you see here, Sun is at 20 degrees 47 minutes, 22.68 seconds in Aries, and Moon is at 20 degrees 47 minutes, 12.68 seconds in Libra. So they are exactly opposite. So this is when a new year started. But we said that this is important for spiritual aspects within the country. So how is this year? How will the dharma be upheld in this country during this year? Yeah. Pardon me? You can, but let us see from the Rashi itself.
Venus is in a strong position. The Lord of the 9th house is fairly strong.
Venus is?
Fairly strong.
Yeah.
The Lord of the house sitting in the 4th house.
Yeah.
So Venus is well placed.
Yeah. But is the 9th house afflicted by any planets here? Ketu and Moon. The 6th and 10th lords are conjoined in the 9th house. So Moon and Ketu, how far apart are they? Are they close or far apart? They are very close. They are within 3 degrees. So actually Sun and Moon are eclipsed in this chart. And that eclipse is happening on the 3rd 9th axis. So the Dharmasthana has an eclipse. And Moon is Ghatakaraka. But that may not be right because it's using 8. Okay, it is right. Okay, Moon is Ghatakaraka. So the Bhratrakaraka is eclipsed by, is basically eclipsed. When you see Rahu Ketu affliction, to Sun and Moon it is very terrible. For other planets it's not that bad, but for Sun and Moon, you see nodal affliction, it is terrible. And because this affliction is happening in the 9th house itself, the house of Dharma, Will there be any adharma done in the country during this year? Plenty. There will be some adharma done in this country. And moon is Bhratakarka. If you look at the Charakaraka, moon is Bhratakaraka. Who does Bhratakaraka show? The spiritual leaders. I said that in natal charts, Bhratakaraka shows Guru, right? In country's charts, he can show spiritual leaders in the country. So because spiritual leader is Bhratakaraka is with Ketu being eclipsed, there can be some troubles to the spiritual leaders in the country. If you try to see it from the other charts, you may not be able to see it. But when you see it from the annual full moon chart, you see that during this year, there can be some trouble to spiritual leaders in the country. Also, if you take the ninth lord as Lagna, Venus, where is he? He is 9. But look at the 2nd and 12th from him. There is Papakartari, 2 malefics in the 2nd, Saturn and Mars, 2 malefics in the 12th, Rahu and Sun. So, that 9th lord has Papakartari from 4 malefics, not just 2, 4 malefics, attacking him from all fronts. So, during this year, the people who uphold Dharma in the country, they can be troubled, they can even be imprisoned, because Sun and Rahu are in the 12th house of imprisonment, Bandhana. So there can be imprisonment of spiritual leaders in the country. Again, you can look at dashas and see when that can happen. I leave that to you to do. And if you don't find it working, then come and ask me. Then we'll discuss next class. Try to look at that. But like this, each chart, each New Year chart, it's not that people of Tamil Nadu are the most brilliant people and people of Andhra are idiots. It's not that people of Andhra are the most brilliant people and people of Orissa are idiots. It's not that people of Rajasthan are fools. Some people of Rajasthan are fools to use Ashara Shukla Pratipada. All these calendars have a purpose. Everything has a clear purpose. But because this is Kali Yuga, the main reason has been lost. And we try to see everything in everything. And we end up seeing everything in everything. But when we have to see something in something, we see everything and we are confused. So basically we end up relying on our intuition and our luck. And those who have good intuition and good puja bala, good spiritual energy, because they are spiritual people, they end up making good predictions. And those who are not, they don't make good predictions, and astrology is not considered as science. But my advice to you is, whenever you learn anything, try to see exactly what this shows, and try to understand the demarcation between various techniques and use the right technique for the right purpose. And then you will get good reading. And we'll do, for the next year, we'll look at various annual charts in the next class in more detail. But let's just look at US, the New Year chart based on the Amanta calendar, Chaitra Shukla Pratipada for April 9, and see how it is. And then with that we will end for today. Okay, this is fine. Back to natal chart. And let us say, instead of previous, select next. The next lunar New Year. So it will show April 8. Actually it's coming on April 8 in the afternoon. So we celebrate on April 9. But the New Year, exact New Year moment is April 8. Oh my God, see at the eclipse time. There is an eclipse in the afternoon. So the New Year is starting at eclipse, starting soon after eclipse, solar eclipse. Yeah, that's interesting. Eight. I introduced the bug in the local solar eclipse. I have recently. For me?
Is that solar eclipse going to go through the country?
I believe it's going to go through US.
Because of the Delta, then it's not going to affect.
Right. I believe it does go through US. I think it's coming somewhere in around noon time, before noon, and it goes on till afternoon. So I have in the software I have this feature, but I don't believe it's working. It used to work. I somehow broke it. The next lunar is, I think, 24th, right? No, I broke things badly. The eclipse section has been broken. Next, global solar. It starts at 12:51. April 8. But this is not in Washington. This is anywhere in the world. Basically, if If you look at the entire world, pardon me? No, this is the time of the chart. Yeah, the local time. The time zone of the chart will be used in all the times. Start of eclipse is at 12:51:30 and then it ends at 5:18. So the new year is starting during an eclipse. It's an interesting new year. That's not good, yeah. But we have to see more. We have to see more. Yes. But because this is happening during daytime, it must be going through. But I don't know at what time. The time is important. And the thing is, there is a bug. You see the local solar calendar for the particular place, there is a bug. I think it gives, -47. So I have to fix it. I have to fix the bug. But the idea is, if you make the chart for the eclipse time, when the eclipse starts, to make a chart at that time, you can see any important events that will happen in the country as a result of the eclipse. You can try several examples. After it fix this bug, maybe your version doesn't have this bug, try it. But let us ignore that for now. Let us go back to the lunar new year chart. The next lunar new year chart. So this is happening during an eclipse. Sun is at 25 degrees, Sun and Moon, and Rahu and Ketu are at 29 degrees. So they are, Rahu and Ketu are eclipsing Sun and Moon, and also they are in Gandanta. They are in a terrible Gandanta. They are at the border of fire and water. Pisces is water sign, and Aries is fiery sign. They are on the border of those. We talked about this earlier. The borders between Pisces and Aries, the borders between Cancer and Leo, and the borders between Scorpio and Sagittarius. They are the borders between fire and water, and those are called Gandantas. One Navamsa in this Rasi, one Navamsa in that Rasi are inauspicious. Especially the last degrees in both signs are extremely inauspicious. And Rahu is in that Gandanta, and he is eclipsing Sun and Moon. So there are some bad results, but it may not be that bad for some countries. It may be terrible for some countries. How is it for US? You see, economy is slightly improving, but still there is a lot of anxiety in the country about political situation, financial situations, foreign borrowing, the deficit. So many things are causing concern to the country. Even terrorist problem is not completely gone. The war that is going on, so many things that are causing concern. Looking at this chart, do you believe that the tension is over? Next year will be a bed of roses. What do you feel? The Lagna Lord, where is he? He is in the 8th house. He is afflicted by Gandanta Rahu. So, it doesn't look pretty, unfortunately. So, next year may not be a great year also. And how about the 6th house? Will the country continue to fight wars and be aggressive? The 6th house has exalted Mars. So, what does it mean? There could be some more aggression from US. I don't. Yeah, look at Iran's New Year chart, then you will know more. It could be Iran or Korea. Korea it will be dumb to go against. It will be dumb. Yeah, it could be. So that's why I'm saying, look at the chart. So we will end the class on that negative note. Next year is not likely to be a great year for US, but we will see in more detail. We will look at what various houses and various planets are showing in the next year. We can look at Navamsa also. How will the foreign policy be? Will it be any better? Will we ruffle others' feathers, or will we actually get things working? Yeah. When it comes to dealing with other people, we will still have some headlessness, but Mercury is there, so it's not that bad. Right. Mercury is exalted and working hard, and retrograde, so he is akin to being in Nicha. Lagnala Dek is akin to being in Nicha. But the 7th house has Venus and Rahu, which is not bad at all. Venus is exalted. Yeah. It shows diplomacy. Both the planets are planets for diplomacy. So there is an exalted Venus, that to 9th Lord. So there will be more diplomacy compared to in the past. There will be more diplomacy and cooperation from other countries. But still, US will go through more turbulence, unfortunately, I believe, during the next 1 year.
Afflicted with Rahu?
Yes, he is afflicted, but still
They're friends, right?
they are friends. See, the teacher of demons is excited. He is exalted. So he is very happy and he is with his favorite demon, the great demon. So both of them will continue their demonous ways, and which is good for diplomacy. Diplomacy is a demonic thing. And
That's your perspective.
yeah. Be diplomatic in your career. But I am saying the Karakas, astrologically the Karakas of diplomacy, the Karaka is Rahu and secondary Karaka is Vedic. So both the planets are in that house. So they will do more diplomacy this time. If they go against some other country, there will be more diplomacy during this year. But there will be some confusion, headlessness, indecisiveness also, because Mercury, a Nicha Mercury is in Lagna with Ketu. Ketu is total confusion and mistake, and Mercury is, especially when he is weak, like he is retrograde in exaltation. When Mercury is weak, he shows indecision, doing this and then doing that, doing this, getting confused. So there will be a lot of confusion about exactly what steps to take, but finally there will be good diplomacy. But bottom line is, there will be more aggression from US, more quarrels with other countries, more putting their nose in other people's, meddling with other people's affairs, and more anxiety at home, because Lagna Lord is in the 8th house. Actually, lot more anxiety than the current year, in the coming year. We'll see India and some other countries, and hopefully they will be better. We'll see that in the next class. With that, we will end for today. And you can use, by the way, not only Vimshottari Dasha, if you see a particular condition applying, you can use those conditional Nakshatra Dashas also. And one more important point is, if you see that Lagna is stronger than Moon, in lunar New Year chart it's unlikely, because Moon is already with Sun, so Moon has a better chance of being with more planets. But if you see that Lagna is stronger than Moon, use Lagna Vimshottari. The Vimshottari Dasha started from Lagna. And for that, I don't know if all of you know, but in the Vimshottari Dasha, if you go to the pop-up menu, there is an item called Vimshottari Seed Strength Comparison Health. If you click that, the idea is a seed becomes stronger if there are more planets in quadrants from it. So if you see here, for example, it shows 7 planets in Kendras. This is from Janma Nakshatra, Moon. If you take Lagna Nakshatra, there are 0 planets in Kendra. The planets in Kendra from a reference shows how strong the difference is. If you take, for example, Utpanna Nakshatra, there are 0 planets. Like that, there are several possible references that are important in mundane astrology. And you can take Sun, for example, or Mandi. Mandi again has 0 planets. I think Moon took every planet. Sun also has 7 planets in Kendra. So like this you can compare. And if in a particular chart, particular mundane chart, you see that Lagna is stronger than Moon, use Lagna Vimshottari instead of Chandra Vimshottari. And if you see Utpanna Tara, there is something called Utpanna Tara, that is the 5th star from Moon. If you see that strong, let's say here, this is not a good example, but let us say in a particular example, when you find Utpanna Nakshatra, the 5th star from Moon star, if that is stronger, let us say this had a bigger, this is 0 here, but let us say this was a bigger count than Moon star. Then what you can say is accept this seed and cast Vimshottari Dasha. See, it changed. It is started from the Utpanna star. The calculations will be different now. So there are various variations of the Vimshottari Dasha. There are different variations. And in natal charts, Moon is the most important. Even if Lagna is stronger, if you just use Moon, you will get good results. But in mundane charts, you have to take whatever is stronger. If Lagna is marginally stronger than Moon, still take Lagna Vimshottari. That will give you far better results as far as these mundane charts are concerned. So with that, I will end for today. Next week we will look at India, US and any other country that you are interested in. We will look at some of these charts and try to give more predictions for the. Actually, because you know how to do it now, I will let you do it for the next do it in the next class. And a week from that, I have to do a Panchanga Shravanam at a function. So whatever you guys tell me, I will tell that in the Panchanga Shravanam. Okay, with that I will end for today. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.